All information contained in this podcast is general in nature and does not consider your individual circumstances. You should consider the appropriateness of this information with regards to your individual objectives, financial situation, and needs. Welcome to Sharing More Than the Sheets, a podcast to help you and your partner make better financial and lifestyle decisions so that you can both focus on the things that you love. I'm your host, Michael Khouri, financial planner, green thumb, husband, and just dad. This podcast is part of a short series to help and encourage current and potential small business owners to improve and grow. I will be talking to experts in their fields, as well as successful business owners, and we will be discussing what they do and how they do it so well. When starting a business or operating a business, there are so many elements to the whole process, and many business owners choose to do things themselves instead of contacting a professional. Today, I wanted to talk about a topic which personally I'm very passionate about, which I feel many people don't really seek the advice of a professional, especially when they first start their business. Now, those that have been in business before would know all about this area, but those that don't like to do it themselves. And I thought I would introduce and welcome probably one of the most talented graphic artists that I know. No pressure. Abigail Gatling from Crisp Communications. Abby, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks so much, Michael. Absolute pleasure to be here, albeit virtually.
Yes. And the thing is, it's when I was thinking of graphic, I was thinking of you straight away, and I was thinking, because for those that don't know, which probably no one really knows, Abby designed our artwork, our latest artwork for Sharing More Than the Sheets. And it's, since changing our artwork, I loved our old artwork, don't get me wrong, but since changing it, I've had so much great feedback. And, it's graphic is one of those things. I mean, graphic work, to me, I feel like it's something that you could learn a lot of it, but there's this big element of creativity in there, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. I think you can learn anything, but if you don't have that key design eye and a passion for it, you'll quickly be found out, or you'll be quickly left behind. Definitely.
Yeah, because I've noticed that personally. I know how to use Photoshop. I mean, sort of, and I know some things, but if I wanted to create a poster, for example, I would sit there. It will probably take me 6 or 7 hours. Okay, that's an exaggeration. It might take me 2 or 3 hours, and it will look terrible. I might think it looks good because in my eyes, I think it's amazing. But when I look back and look at it, I'm like, yeah, that's terrible. And the problem is a lot of people don't realize that their work is that bad. And it's probably something that you would have probably done in half an hour, or something, or obviously would have made it look a lot. You would have made it look a lot better.
I had to be very tactical sometimes, tactful, when people come to me, oh, this is what I've done. Can you just tweak it a bit? And I'm like, oh, this is lovely. Let's just change this and this. Oh, how about we just start from scratch, But it's good. It's good that people get out there and trying, definitely.
It's like when my daughter brings me a painting that she's done. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. I'm like, is that me? She goes, oh, no, that's a dog. I'm like, oh, okay. That's really nice.
Yeah, could be very polite in your response.
Yes. And can we? I'd really like to start with talking about the benefits of using a graphic artist, compared to doing it yourself. Actually, sorry, let's start with the benefits of having proper graphic work for a business and having attractive graphic work for a business compared to, your stock standard stuff that you normally can generate yourself on a computer for nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there are, you can definitely use templates and things like that to build your visual presence, but graphics are just so important. Graphic design is basically the visual embodiment of your brand. And it's so important to have a good visual brand because, humans are visual, and they say that you eat with your eyes, and that's 100% true. But graphic design is so much more than just pretty aesthetics. Your visuals are communicating or, telling a story about you and your brand. And people are, either consciously or subconsciously taking these visual clues that you're putting out there and trying to understand or relate to your business. And they're trying to figure out who you are and what you do and who you work with, the quality of your products or services. And they're constantly thinking is this the right person for me and should I work with them? And, to actually put that in practical terms, I'm talking about things like your social media images and your brochures and your forms and website icons and all those types of things. And so it's so important to have good graphic design, because if you're putting out things out there that are shoddy or off-brand or inconsistent, then you've got to think about, like, what does that say about the quality of your business? Is that, maybe you don't care, or you have low standards, or you don't have a good attention to detail, or that you're not professional or successful. And none of these are the things that, these are not good things to portray to a potential or current client.
That's so true, because they say you should never judge a book by its cover, but we all do. And
totally. It's natural.
Like, it honestly is, and it's like it's human nature. It's like when you see two different things, you just assume that the one that looks better is better. I mean, not always, but the one that's more appealing to the eye, or I guess the one that touches and tickles that heartstring of yours, is the one that, yes, that's the one I feel more comfortable with compared to this one, for example. And that perception to me is so important, because a lot of people, some people listening to this episode already have a business. Some are thinking of starting a business, and many people that have businesses don't actually have, an office, or they don't always have a storefront. It could be an online business. And to me, the way I've always seen it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but your business card and your website and your social media stuff, that pretty much becomes your storefront, because that's literally how people judge that professionalism that you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Good design is, public relations. It's basically telling people how they should see your business, think about your business, feel about your business. But also, I probably should point out that it's not just about the people external to your business. It's also really important for staff and potential staff, and that you're in a network, your contractors, because it works in so many different ways. So, for example, the other day I had a client that said, "Make me look like Google. I want everyone to want to work here." And because if your branding and your graphics are showing that you are quality and forward-thinking, professional, engaging, fun, whatever it is that you want your brand to portray, or whatever your brand is all about, good graphics will start to help you attract people who value those things. And we mostly think around marketing as about getting new clients, but of course it extends to staffing as well. And as a small business, staffing is a major pain point for a lot of businesses, and recruitment is timely and expensive. So if you can use your branding and your visuals not only to get good clients coming towards you, but also getting great staff who want to work with you, then that's such a win-win.
Yes, that's such a good point, because it's again, and it's about that consistency that you mentioned as well, because there's I read a book once about integrated marketing communications, and how there's having a consistent message is so important. Like, for example, if you say, "Hey, we're a professional," I don't know how can I explain. Okay, we're a fish and chip shop. We make great fish and chips, which is and we have very high food standards. So that's the message that you're trying to communicate to your customer, and maybe that's something you could be telling your customer. But if the front of your shop looks dodgy as, and your brochures are outdated and the prices are from 6 months ago, and if your business card's a different color to the color of your logo on the front, and if you don't really have a website, or you do, but it's just dodgy as anything, again, it's that inconsistency that I think affects trust, because I think trust, all this, I think, builds that trust. Like what you mentioned, if people want to work at a business, if the perception is good, and if they feel that they can trust that business, they're more likely to want to engage with that business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, graphic design should not be just like a solo effort. It should definitely feed into your wider marketing and branding plan in like a holistic way. Your graphic design choices need to feed into that, not only for consistency, but for effectiveness. And it's a really strong way of helping you define and strengthen your brand and attract the right people towards it, as I said before. But it also helps you build authority in the industry. Like you said with the fish and chip shop, like if they they have some really random sign out the front and then they're selling fish and chips inside, you're just like, well, what are you? Are you a hairdresser or are you a fish and chip shop? So it helps you position yourself, but also take up the space that you deserve and your business deserves. And in saying that, I really think that good design, I know a lot of people think that it's quite expensive to get that, but in the long run, it helps you save time and money for your business because it helps cut through the noise. It reduces kind of like that purchasing friction when people are trying to decide whether to work with you or not. But it also it cuts around with like just faffing around or like with clients who aren't the right fit for your business as well. So, for example, I had a client recently who was just had this real administrative burden of having lots of inquiries and referrals and meetings with clients, but they weren't converting into actual paying clients. And when we discussed it, it wasn't really a conversion issue. It was that like after he was meeting with all these clients, he was realizing they weren't the right ones for his niche business and deciding not to work with him. So basically the message he was putting out there was saying that he was doing one thing, but he actually offered a completely different service. So, and like that may not sound like an issue, like, oh, I've got so many inquiries. Wow, woe is me. But, as a business owner and even as an employee, everyone's so busy and our time is so precious. You just can't afford to waste it on avenues that are not progressing you towards your goal. So we fix that particular issue by simply tweaking his website and putting his ideal customer and their needs at the forefront. So we did it through the graphics, we did it through the messaging, the FAQs, like everything. And even so bold to put it there, like, we are not for you if you're looking for this. And, it was bold, but to anyone who came across the site from then on, it was very clear about who he worked with and what he offered. And so just by doing that, dramatically improved the quality of the leads he was receiving and saving his time and his money. So that's kind of like how the graphics needs to feed into the wider plan, because it's all telling a story.
Wow. Yes. You've just mentioned probably two really, really big points. And yeah, the first one is that target market thing, because you are right. If there's, if, for example, let's say there's a women's spa and their colors are all blue and whatever, and they start getting men walking in all the time, potentially they need to change the colors to something that appeals to women, or to have imagery, or something like that. Or if there's and even there's that friction that you talked about, that purchasing friction, how if somebody trusts a business and if they can relate to a business, they're more likely to just be like, yep, that's the one for me, or at least to take that step. And to me, I think the sad thing is, sad and I guess unfortunate thing as well, is that a lot of businesses probably won't realize they have these issues as well, because they would have something, could be artwork they designed, or it could be graphic artwork that a graphic artist designed, but a long time ago before, and since then the business has evolved, or it could be just something that just hasn't been done properly. And the issue is they sometimes won't even realize like why they're not getting customers, or why they're getting the wrong customers, or why people have stopped visiting them, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. And, while you're saying that, this business immediately popped to mind that I was driving past the other day. New business popped up, got this lovely sign out the front called the Groomery, and said to my husband, oh, that looks lovely. Why don't you go get your hair cut there? We looked it up online and it's a dog groomer. But I was like, you could still go if you want. But, every aspect of that sign looked like it was a barber. And so we looked it up. We might take our dog there in the future, but the disappointment, and it was just like the wrong messaging to put out there.
Yeah, it is, honestly. These podcasts have been brought to you by Better Financial Planning Australia. To book a free 15-minute phone chat, visit betterfinancialplanning.com.au. And something that really bugs me, again, from a marketing perspective, and I know today's episode's about graphic work, but I mean, graphic work and marketing, they literally overlap in so many ways. Something as well, and I'd love for you to touch on this topic as well, is having a clear, proper call to action. And to me, what, as an example I'll give, and I'll let you explain what a call to action is, but an example I'll give is I'll see like a billboard on the highway and I'm driving past it, and suddenly I start looking at this billboard and I read a couple of words on it. I'm like, okay, I actually want to know. I want to know more, or I'll want to visit their website, for example, but I can't see their website anywhere. I can't see their phone number. And sometimes I'll see an ad on TV, which I'm like, oh, this is a good ad. But then the logo of the business or their website or anything just pops up for just 1 second at the end and it's gone. It's like, well, what's the point of having an amazing ad if people can't actually figure out who it's for or how to contact,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that is something that so many of us are guilty of, that we have, 10 different social media channels and a website and a phone number and an email and this and that. And you've got to be selective about what are you actually asking people to do. Do you want people to follow you on Facebook, or do you want them to call you and book in? And unless you're telling someone what the clear call to action is, which is the one thing that you want someone to do after seeing your piece of marketing, they're going to get confused and likely do nothing. So you're just going to make it as easy as possible for people to go, I've seen this and now I need to do this, and then it's done. Rather than going, oh, like us here and follow us there and share this and QR codes is such a good way to kind of cut through that now, especially if you're doing printed materials, like on the back of your business card or on a brochure or a poster or something. Everyone knows how to use the QR code now with all this COVID check-in. Just go scan this and you can take them to your booking system. You can take them to a video explainer. You can take them to your website, wherever it is that is going to make them take that next step. It was really important to not only be clear on your call to action, but also, as you said before, clear on who your ideal client is as well.
Yes, and you are right. Everybody knows what a QR code is now.
Yeah.
I've had QR codes on my business cards for a while just because I think they look cool. I didn't think anybody would actually use them. But now everyone knows what a QR code is.
Yeah. Industry leader right there.
Pretty much. And for those that don't actually know how to generate them, there's lots of websites online where you can actually type in what you want and you can generate a QR code for free, basically. But some of the websites do have spyware and nothing's free. So normally there's going to be ads or things that they might accidentally, or they'll pretend it's an accident, but they'll force you to click on something that might download a virus or something into your computer that probably shouldn't be there. So you do need to be careful with anything that's free online. But Abby, can we also go through briefly the process of engaging a graphic artist? So whether it's you in particular or somebody in general, because some people listening to this, and I guess it's like, seeing a financial planner for the first time. Some people would come to me and say, I've never done this before. I don't really know what to do, or I was a bit nervous about the whole process. Now, I know graphic artist is slightly different to financial planning, but if somebody is seeing a graphic artist or seeing someone like yourself, what should they expect? And I guess, how does the process sort of work?
Yeah. I think, there's sort of a couple of points where people decide to take the leap and work with a professional graphic designer rather than doing it in-house. And it's kind of just questioning what you want to achieve. Yeah, basically questioning what you want to achieve and whether you can do that in-house or not. So I think the two main things that I see people coming to me for is resourcing issues and quality issues. So the resourcing side of things is like, if you don't have someone in your team who likes to do this type of thing or is willing to learn how to do it, or you don't have the time in your workload to do it, or the money to invest in hiring someone to do it, that's when they start to come to a professional like me or to someone else. Because if you don't make a true commitment to it with time and money and resourcing, you just won't be setting yourself up for success. The second sort of reason why people go to a professional is around the quality. We talked before, there's like templates and there's great tools like Canva and PictoChart and all those types of things which you can use. They're very, very easy to use and you can get a pretty good result. And things like Fiverr where you pay, $20 and you get a logo, but they're all kind of just stock standard templated designs. and they don't really speak to who you are as a brand. So that's the second sort of reason why people generally come to me, is that they've tried something themselves or they've got someone on Fiverr to do it and it's just not a good result. And you're paying more you're paying more than just for something that's pretty and aesthetic, because, design is so much more than just clicking a few buttons in Photoshop. There's so much that goes into it beyond the aesthetics. There's, different colors have different meanings, and fonts share a different tone or vibe. Shapes convey meaning, composition. It's the subtleties that help you build a cohesive visual message and develop your brand further. And that's what you get from a professional.
Yeah, I can vouch for that, because like websites like Canva, I love. There's a couple of other ones I've used. Amazing. Fiverr, so, handy, so cheap. But at the same time, I've created different artwork with all these different things. And you are right. Like, I think I used Fiverr to design our logo initially when I first started the business. And after two tries, I was like, no, I'm out. I'm just going to get a professional to do it, because they look so stock standard. And the other issue as well is, let's say Canva does spit out, this amazing poster that just looks so, impressive, and, it's going to do, and it's such an amazing job. The issue is that it's going to be very inconsistent to something else in your business, and then which will be inconsistent to something else. And if this doesn't send that direct message or that clear message, it's not a good look. And also, even again, from a template perspective, sometimes things do look amazing, but you don't realize, but your competitor around the corner has probably used that exact template.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've seen that with font before, like online fonts. I've seen the same font in like 8 different places. And there's this one I can think of that kebab shops like to use. And I've literally seen the same font like 15 times in the last 10 years, on events and kebab, so it's just, it's having that consistency and sending out that clear message. And the other issue is like what you said, time is a big problem. Some people I know some people that are amazing graphic artists, but they have not had the time to work on their own stuff, and it just looks terrible. So sometimes if you have to swallow the pill and just pay someone to do it, at least you're getting something that's really well done, something that's going to be effective. Yeah. And I guess it's like financial advice. I know I've got some clients that are so intelligent, but they just don't have the time to manage their own money, and to make financial decisions, and there's no accountability, obviously, because it's just them. So that's why they seek the advice of someone like me. So
totally.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're too close to it to be able to do it yourself.
100%. And it's like me when I told you I'd spend hours creating this poster, which I think is just amazing. This is going to be the next best thing. And then suddenly I step back, or someone looks at it and they're like, that's the worst poster I've ever seen. And I'm like, oh, I'm out.
Yeah. I think, I think it's really good for people to give it a crack the first time round. But when you want to level up and when you don't have the time to just fiddle with it forever, that's when it's good to go out. But jumping back to the templates and the fonts and things like that, it's that the risk with that is that you said you've seen this font and it was on a kebab shop. You've also seen it somewhere else. That every time you see that font, you're going to think of a kebab shop. And so if you looked at the templates on, Canva and Design Wizard and all these other ones, they are beautiful. But once you see it, if you see it again, the brand recognition is not there because you've already seen it for a different business. So, I'm always on like Facebook and I'm just saying, okay, cool, that's a Canva template, that's Canva template. And they're so great. They're a great starting point. But if you're going to use them as a starting point, because because it could be perceived as like a lack of originality and you're just going to lose that brand recognition. So if you're going to use them, add your own flair and make it consistent with your brand. Make sure it's the right colors for your brand. You've got your logo on there. Might change the font to your brand font. And then that way it just starts to look less like a template and more like you. But definitely use them as a starting point because they're really nice looking, and thinking of a good design is the hardest part.
Yeah, it's so true. And you are right. When you see something, sometimes it's too hard to unsee it. And and that font I'm talking about, I've actually seen it at massage parlors as well. So it's, and also the other thing as well, a lot of people, business owners listening to this, need to realize that there's some serious copyright issues as well with using certain things they find on the internet as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely got to check that. And even, if you pay for a tool, like if you go to Canva Pro, for example, I know I talk about Canva a lot, but I love Canva so much. Even if you use it, you have to look at the policies around it, because sometimes you can't use it without changing certain elements. They've got lots of free photos and stuff on there, but you're not allowed to use them on your website. It's really important to check that out before you start using it, because you don't want to run into any troubles later on.
No, not at all. Especially a logo. It's because a logo is something most businesses create when they're earning $0. And for that reason, I've seen budgets of $0 for creating logos, but It's one of those things that will still be around when you're earning the big bucks. And the last thing you want is to have a really dodgy logo or something that's copyright or something that you're not really too happy with, because a logo it's one of those things you can change a logo, but it's not that simple changing it. It can create issues with your customers and client base. So if you do get it right from day one, it makes life so much easier for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lastly, Abby, you've shared a couple already, but can you think of any horror stories or any success stories of people that have used a graphic artist or that have come across yourself that you can share?
I've seen a lot.
Just in case someone's listening to this and they're thinking, you know what, I think I could still do it myself.
Look, I've seen a lot. I do get a lot of clients who've gone to Fiverr first, and then they come to me and they are just like, why did I waste any bit of money in the past? But to be honest, I think the one mistake, like the biggest mistake that I see, is that people just not trying with their design. These days, good design isn't a nice to have, it's a must have. Your competitors are doing it. And so it's only a matter of time that if you're not doing it, you're going to get left behind. But as I said before, like the good news is that there are so many tools out there that are easy to use and give great results if you want to do it yourself. And there's lots of people, if you want to outsource it to, that you're going to get a great result with. So that's the biggest mistake, is people using the same word brochures that they've created back in 1989 or a blurry old photo.
Clip art.
Yeah, clip art, word art, and just ditch that. You and your business deserve better, and there just kind of is no excuse to have bad design anymore. And it may seem scary, but you have to start somewhere, and the only way is up.
Amazing final words. Like, there's literally no better way. I think you could have said that. And, and if somebody wants to get in contact with you, Abby, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, just jump on my website. It's crispcoms.co. I've got a bunch of information on there, and also a booking link if you want to book in a chat. I'd love to help you.
Yeah, nice. And I'll put that in the description of this podcast episode as well, that link.
Perfect.
And lastly, just for our dad joke of the day, I thought I'd tailor this around graphic artists. And
okay.
Why did the graphic artist get sacked from the calendar factory?
Oh, I don't know.
She took a few days off.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I know.
I love it. I'm going to use that, though. I'm going to use that.
I stole it from my son. So it's, it's...
Kids have the best dad jokes. I don't know why.
Oh, they do. I think he's watching something on TV at the moment, and there's a dad joke in every episode, so he keeps coming to me with these jokes. I'm like, that's actually pretty good. So I have to give him credit.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. But no, thank you, Abby. I really appreciate your time. And, it's been such an eye-opener to talk about this, as always, with you.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for having me. It's been great.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for joining us on Sharing More Than the Sheets. Please make sure you subscribe to be updated with future episode releases, and feel free to share this episode with any friends or family that you think it might benefit. Please visit us at sharingmorethanthesheets.com.au to submit questions or requests for future podcast topics. These podcasts have been brought to you by Better Financial Planning Australia. To book a 15-minute phone chat, visit betterfinancialplanning.com.au.